Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and thanks for being here. This is another timeless reading that's for somebody out there, and my intention is that it will find whoever it's meant for at the right time for them. Now, it's definitely not intended to be for everyone, so if the storyline that emerges is not resonating with you, just kind of accept that it's not your reading. I do still think you can watch the whole video because I always set the intention that if anyone's drawn to one of my readings, they'll gain something from watching it. And that could be an insight, a piece of wisdom, or just the opportunity to see something from a different perspective. So if you happen to be here, I think you are meant to be here. We'll get started in a minute. We'll just do our love pause first. And this is where we pause the video and intentionally send some love out into the universe. You can do this as a Ho'oponopono prayer if you prefer, and that would involve saying the 4 sentences, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. So thanks to everyone who does do the love pause. The time to pause is now, and I'll start with my reading on the next slide. Okay, so this is our spread. If you're interested in the decks I've used, they will be listed in the description box. All right, so at the bottom of the deck, we have the 3 of Pentacles, and that's a nice energy. This is about people collaborating and working together to accomplish a common goal. So this reading could well relate to a team or a group or a community. The card in the past position is the Star, and I had to laugh because when I first looked at the card, I was like, what is this? And I didn't work out it was a card. It was a star card till I looked at the label on it. I can't see a star, and I'll describe what I can see. So we can see this white peacock in the background, and then there's this guy in the forefront of the image, and he actually looks like he's drunk and he's spilling and splashing this water everywhere. So it's definitely not the woman in the traditional star card who's having a fairly solemn outpouring of emotion. This person, yeah, they actually look like they maybe were drinking a bit as they were processing whatever was happening in their life. The Star card is an Aquarius card, and it's about healing and feeling optimistic or hopeful about the future being better. So maybe this person didn't go through that in a particularly graceful way, in particular at the start. I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting here. But I mean, healing can be messy, especially when you don't know what to do with your emotions. And that's the kind of feeling I'm getting from this water being messily splashed around. They had a lot of emotion and they just, did what they did. I don't know. But the white peacock in the background is interesting. I can still see that the feathers on this peacock, like the eyes, still have color. So what I'm getting there is that maybe this person just lost a lot of their vibrancy. So, they obviously were a normal coloured peacock, and they lost a lot of the colour, but the colour remained on the eyes of the peacock feathers. So, when you think about the purpose of that, the eyes on the peacock feathers are actually a defensive adaptation. So, it's something so the peacock can fan its feathers out, and if it's dealing with a predator, the predator basically sees all these eyes and it gets frightened because it doesn't know what it's looking at. And, it looks like a much bigger, scarier creature than it is. So it's interesting that the eyes here have retained colour even though the rest of the peacock has lost colour. So I do feel like maybe this person, whatever energy they did have, they were putting it into pushing people away, scaring people away. So this is giving me almost like an angry drunk kind of person. And the absence of the star in this card might be that they weren't even thinking about the possibility of anything better happening. So now I'm starting to feel bad because I was laughing before, but I think this person was in quite a bad place. They are a star though, they're a peacock, and they might have stopped shining for a bit, but I think as they heal, they're going to be restored to who they were, and that is a vibrant energy, and that's what that peacock is representing. And as I'm saying that, I'm just remembering I was listening to music last night, and the song Bent by Matchbox 20 came on, and I started singing along, and the line that's coming through now is the one where he says, I'm so scared that I'll never get put back together. So I think that is linking in with this. So this person didn't think they would recover. And maybe the lyrics of that song are relevant to this reading, because in that song the person doesn't believe they'll recover, but they also have this hope that that they might find someone who will be able to love them. So I feel like in this star card, what I'm getting is that this person's ego kind of gave up hope, like nothing good is ever going to happen. But I think deep in their heart, they had this wish maybe that, maybe there was someone out there for them. So in their heart, they still believed in love, even if their mind didn't believe that that could ever happen for them. So, that's an interesting starting energy. But that's in the past position, and having a look at the rest of the spread, I have to say it's looking amazing. So in the present position, we actually had 2 cards come out together, and they're also major arcana cards. So really the first 3 cards we've got here at the bottom are all major arcana cards. So I'm feeling like this is a powerful reading here. But the 2 cards that came together, what a great combination. So we got Temperance, which in this deck it's been titled The Alchemist. And then we got Strength as well. And these 2 came out together. They're both fire energies. So one's Sagittarius and one's Leo. And the thing with fire energies is they don't give up. So they're not done until they're dead. And that's the quality of the element of fire. So you can almost completely put a fire out, but if there is even one small ember that's still glowing, that fire can be reignited because that element is still alive. And thinking back to this person, it's almost like that little bit of hope that was inside their heart was like that little ember of fire. So it just needed to be reignited. And it looks with the strong fire energy in the center of the reading that the fire was reignited and it's burning quite strongly now. It's pretty cool that the Temperance card here is titled Alchemist, because an alchemist is someone who transmutes energies, and so their healing, I'm going to say, has been by transmuting their pain, and it's actually making them a better person and a stronger person, as represented by the Strength card, because the Strength card is about profound inner strength. So I feel like that whatever happened to them to put them in that star card energy was something that nearly destroyed them and nearly put the fire out, and as horrible as whatever that was might have been, it was that experience that helped them discover their strength. So they've done a lot of healing and they've become a very strong person. So that's beautiful. So I think, as we said before, this person was a star. They just had that loss of vibrancy from that experience. And when you think about it, stars can actually also be thought of as fiery energies. I think technically it's like nuclear reactions or something and not fire. But really, when you think about it, stars are very hot and they emit light. So in terms of the earthly elements, the nearest element we can compare it to is fire energy. So this person had that loss of vibrancy, but they are now burning brightly again, shining brightly. So they are a star again. And so back to being a peacock, I guess. Now, the oracle cards do seem related to their healing journey, so I might just jump to them at this point. The first oracle card was titled Solitude, and it reads, in silence, peace prevails. So I think that this person retreated when they were in that bad place. So they did shut everyone out. And that solitude was actually what they needed in order to heal. So it's very much like when a wounded animal retreats because it's too injured and it just needs a safe place to lick its wounds and heal and regain its strength. So I was getting that this person was quite aggressive about keeping people away. And I think that was just because they couldn't take any more. So at that point, I suspect they were angry, they were hostile, they were rude to anyone who tried to engage with them, but they really needed the peace of this solitude. So that's what they were driven to do. Now, the third oracle card it's been sort of glaring at me the whole time, but this card's titled Blame, and it reads, I accept responsibility for my well-being. And I think this was an important lesson for this person to learn. So it might have been other people's actions that pushed them to breaking point, but they needed to learn that they had allowed people to mess with them. So they needed to learn that they should have been looking out for themselves a lot more than they did. And in some ways, when they were going through that angry phase, that angry solitary phase, that was actually their first time perhaps doing that. So they actually gave themselves the solitude they needed. And it was by telling other people to F off, basically. So I think for the first time they were saying, my peace matters more to me than anything you're offering. Go away. And even if that was rude, I think it was the right thing. They finally were standing up for their own well-being. And even if they're not angry anymore, I think that sentiment is something they're carrying into the future. So my peace matters more to me than anything you're offering. And that means that even if they're stronger now, they're not going to engage with anything that's going to interfere with their peace. So they've taken responsibility for their own well-being, and that means they're not shifting the blame onto other people. So I think at this point they've accepted that other people are who they are, and they've accepted that it's up to them who they allow into their life, and that's brilliant. I'll come back to that middle oracle card because it's looking a little bit more involved, so I might leave that almost to the end actually. So I'll go back to the tarot, the card in the future position, beautiful as well. So this is the Four of Wands. And in this deck, this card is gorgeous. It's like an Indian couple and they're in traditional clothing and they look like they're dancing. And they both look like they're really caught up in this blissful moment. So I love it. Now, the Four of Wands, it's about celebration and strong, stable foundations. It's sometimes seen as a marriage card. And with this being a couple on this card, and it's quite a romantic image, I can definitely see it perhaps indicating that this person does find the partner that they've wished for. And the other thing about the Four of Wands card is that it's sometimes described as the 1111 card because the four wands are arranged in that way. And 1111 is about an ascension portal, and it's also a number synchronicity associated with twin flames. But overall, just looking at the whole thing, it's such a positive card, both in its meanings and in the imagery of this card. So I feel like that's definitely saying that things are going to work out wonderfully for this person. And I guess if you've become the sort of person who's only going to let people in if they're bringing good energy into your life, then the only people who can get in are people who are going to add to your life in a positive way. And yeah, we did have the Three of Pentacles at the bottom of the reading. So that is about collaborating with others to accomplish things. So definitely the solitary phase will come to an end because there are going to be other people, good people who come in that this person can have a relationship with or form bonds with and start working with. So that's really nice. So the solitary phase, that is over, or it will be over. But yeah, the future's looking good. And actually, the Three of Pentacles image looks like it's Indian as well. So maybe there's an Indian connection with this reading. And I've deliberately left that last oracle card to now, and it does seem like quite an intense energy. It is at the heart of the spread when you look at the spread. So it's titled Tibetan Fire Serpent. And so that fire energy, again, is coming through strongly in middle of the spread, just like those two fire cards in the middle of the tarot cards as well. Now, this card is a number 33 card, and that is the master teacher number. So seeing that makes me think we are talking about someone who is meant to become a spiritual teacher. And as I said, 1111 did come up, which is about an ascension portal. So it could well be that this person's experiences, they were terrible, but they were actually a spiritual initiation that was part of their ascension journey. So it was that tough initiation that showed them how to heal, made them a master of alchemy, and showed them how strong they are. So the purpose of all of that was to guide them to become a teacher or a leader, so someone who can guide others. The Tibetan fire serpent is actually related to the idea of Kundalini activation. So the serpent represents the Shakti life force energy, which normally lies dormant in the root chakra at the base of the spine. And they say this energy is like a coiled serpent that is sleeping. And then when it's awakened in this process known as Kundalini activation, so this energy uncoils and starts ascending up the spine And as it does that, it travels through all the chakras until it reaches the crown chakra. Now, as it's moving through each of those chakras, it activates and heals that chakra. So as it moves through it, it's basically optimizing the functioning of each chakra that it moves through. When it gets up to the top, to the crown chakra, there is union between this Shakti life force energy and the consciousness of Shiva. And that results in profound enlightenment, which is what you'd expect if the crown chakra becomes fully activated and optimized. So this process of Kundalini activation, it isn't common and it's profoundly transformational. And my understanding is that it can involve ascension symptoms that may not be particularly pleasant. So it may be a rough process as you're going through this. So this person, I suspect, has really struggled. But anyway, it's going to work out well in the end. And as I'm talking about Shakti and Shiva energies coming together, my eyes are going back to that Four of Wands card. So that's really nice. So we don't really know what they went through in their past and what their healing journey has involved, but it looks like part of it's going to be a Kundalini activation taking place. In terms of the man pictured on this card, I believe this is El Moria, who is an ascended master. I don't know an awful lot about El Moria, so I actually went and Googled him, and AI gave me an answer, which was full of things I don't really know about, but there was a list of El Moria's qualities that sort of caught my eye, and I think I'll quote that sentence. He represents the godly attributes of courage, certainty, power, forthrightness, self-reliance, dependability, faith, and initiative. So if this is a reading that resonates for you, you might want to start trying to work with El Moria. But the bigger thing was that list of traits actually made me think of the King of Wands, and we have definitely had fire energies with Sagittarius and Leo, and so I feel like this reading could be for someone who has strong fire sign placements. And the King of Wands traits are very much about leadership, so that certainly fits with what we've had so far. And actually, even the fact that this person is a star fits with that, because the King of Wands is someone people would consider very inspiring. It's an archetype that's very confident, charismatic, dynamic, and very committed to the things that they're passionate about. And I just realized I didn't even read the caption on this card. So the caption is seeking a higher truth, discernment, a better path, authority. So, yep, I'm looking at that solitude card now, and the woman does look like she's doing some study there. So I think this person, perhaps they went through their drunken phase and then they chose to move into spirituality during that hermit stage of their life. And they did become obviously a lot more discerning about the things that they would allow in their life. And they chose this better path by stepping into spirituality. And I feel like, yes, they are becoming an authority in spiritual matters, because we did have the master teacher energy coming up and an ascended master there in El Moria. The other things, we've had India come up in this reading, and I guess that is where a lot of spiritual wisdom originates from, the chakras, Shiva and Shakti energies, Kundalini activations, yoga, and Tibet's here as well, and that's associated with Buddhism, but Buddhism is fairly strongly related to Hinduism, because Buddha himself was born a Hindu prince, and he was born, I think, in the India, Nepal kind of area. So maybe this person that we're talking about in this reading is becoming a yogi, or maybe with these images of India, they're going to be studying spirituality in India, or perhaps studying Hinduism or Buddhism, and that's just something else that's just come through at the end. But that there is our reading. I quite enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. This here is our last slide. So the decks, as I said, are in the description box, and that will be the case for all of my older readings as well. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please give the video a like and leave a comment if you feel guided to. Thanks to everyone who's already subscribed, and I'm very grateful for your support. And that's it. So take care, everyone, and I hope that I'll see you again in a future video. Bye.